So Chord Electronics new Mojo 2. Sounds a bit corny, but it wasn't meant to be. This is a new DAC product from Chord Electronics. And what's a DAC in lay terms? Digital to analog converter. Takes your digital from your Mac, your PC, Android or Apple phone and spits out analog. And in the case of the Mojo 2, two headphone sockets to spit out analog on one side, meant for sharing if you want to, but also you can use it in hi-fi as well, which we'll come on to in this review. So feature-wise, Mojo 2 uses self-powered batteries inside. There's no need for mains connection when you're using it, although you can connect mains to trickle charge it. But it uses a micro USB charge socket. Battery life is actually pretty good, and we know the importance of a good battery supply in hi-fi. There's no junk and noise on the mains that's going to affect delicate circuits inside it. Also, the aluminium case is pretty nice. It should be really, because it's been made for Chord. And the technology that this DAC uses is FPGA, Field Programmable Gate Array, to the uninitiated. That's a technology that Chord use and other brands too, like PS Audio, but it means programming the DAC in the FPGA as opposed to using what is often called an off-the-shelf DAC chip. First impressions is that I don't actually like this underside white serial number carrying sticker. It does somewhat cheapen the product to make it look as if it's more home built in someone's bedroom. But when I actually got mine and picked it up, I thought something was broken inside and I was thinking, oh no, I've got to give it back. But it's actually the little polycarbonate selection balls that drop against the case. If you move the Mojo slightly, you will get a rattle, and certainly if you move it upside down, you will. There's a fair amount of clanking and clunking going on, and it does give the impression that this is a somewhat clunky product. It's a shame really, because it's really coolly designed with these selection balls that are coloured, and you can't help think, why didn't they put a little bit extra damping between the case and the balls to stop this happening? If you look at the Qutest DAC, it doesn't do that. In fact, I've been told they aren't balls, but polycarbonate shaped teardrops, shaped like contact lenses. Chord actually told me that they designed the Mojo with gaps between these spheres and the case to account expansion and contraction when you use it in hot or cold conditions, because the spheres move fractions of a millimetre. But it's not as if the actual spheres move fractions of a millimetre anyway. They move quite significantly up and down. So I still feel that Chord Electronics could have damped these buttons. You actually get a new USB-C digital input in the Mojo 2 with Toslink of old as well. And then on the left, you get a coaxial digital input, which looks like a headphone socket, but actually routes the same connections as RCA coax. That's obviously a hot signal and ground, except with the Mojo 2's socket, they're on the tip and sleeve of a 3.5mm jack. Obviously then you use an RCA coax on the other end from your RCA source output. By the way, I wouldn't actually recommend using Mojo 2 with an M scaler, because upscalers only work to a fashion once DAC quality is footed, if I could put it like that. There's obviously a price mismatch, because the Mojo 2's 450 quid against M scalers, I think it's 3.5 grand. And I noticed to a podcast recently that Rob Watts, their designer, made a concession that it's unlikely Mojo 2 is going to be used with an M scaler. I have found that there is a correlation between tap count, that's the number of gates in the FPGA, to sound quality of the main Chord DACs, that's Qutest, TT2, Hugo TT2 and Dave, but there doesn't exist that correlation with M scaler. So it's not as if you can say the M scaler's 1 million taps is 5 times as powerful as Dave's 160,000 taps, if my maths is correct. But you know what I mean. You can actually use Poly, which is Chord's own streamer, with the Mojo 2, just like the original Mojo, because the connections marry up. And in the box, you'll notice that you'll get a USB-A to micro USB cable, which you can use for charging, but it also acts as a digital cable, so you could use it with, say, a Windows PC. Chord could, I think, tell you exactly what types of cables work, and the manual could be a little bit clearer there. For instance, I tried a USB-C to Lightning cable of the type that you can get on Amazon, which doesn't work with the Mojo 2. The most reliable of connections, if you're using a Lightning out, you know, iPhones, iPads of the older type, you could use USB 3 camera adapter or the inline adapter. With the latest version of Mac OS called Monterey, I'm not sure how long it's been out, but it's on my MacBook, only recently been installed. I did find that sometimes USB-C connection works. That's where you use direct USB-C from the Mojo to USB-C of the MacBook. Other times it didn't work, and I was racking my brains over what was causing it. Was it the cable or not? And after a while, it seemed to work faultlessly. The cable was working fine. Anyway, this is actually what Chord told me regarding iPhone and iPad use. They said that the only cable that works consistently is the official Apple camera adapter, as it sends the correct confirmation to iOS to establish a data connection. These aren't cables in the classic sense of being a wire with terminations. They have a chip interface, and Apple can, and frequently does, stop them working when they change the iOS firmware if they aren't ratified. This has been the advice we've given to customers from the original Hugo onwards. So that being said, I think Chord could add that type of thing to their manual. A couple of other features. The battery light under the charge socket is quite cool because it lights up to show you battery capacity. Different colours relate to different battery status. And then so far as using DSP, digital signal processing, one of the biggest features of the new Mojo 2, it does require quite a bit of finger gymnastics, if I could put it that way. But to be honest, once you get used to it, it's fairly simple. But I did think Chord could have put another one of these little cards in the box as a summary of all the button presses, just to have by your side to make it a bit easier. I got to say that I really like the crosstalk feature of this DAC, especially on the medium setting. A bit of bleed of the left channel into the right channel and vice versa, which of course is what crosstalk actually is. And it gets that sense of listening to hi-fi with all the room interaction that you have, but with headphones. Another thing to say is that the power button light shows the sample rate from 44.1 kilohertz CD quality all the way up to 768 kilohertz if you're using the M scaler. Obviously DSD of course, but no MQA. Chord don't believe in it, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of like that myself. I kind of view it more as just a source of music, as opposed to getting into technical discussions about whether it's any good or not. It's more, what can you get on Tidal Masters? That's as far as I go with it. When you do some reviews, you go up and down, forgive the industrial language, more times than a horse draws on what you think on sound quality. But with this DAC, it's pretty obvious that it sits very high up on its own pedestal. The overall impression is of a full-on dynamic articulator. I mean, really, really good dynamically. Hair-splitting detail and a massive soundstage. It's quite dramatic in these areas, but so lovely for a DAC at this type of price. You may actually think I'm clicheing it by saying this, but the impression it gets you so much sound out of a small box is spellbinding with the Mojo 2. So I didn't actually have anything directly price comparable, but against AudioQuest's DragonFly Cobalt, this Chord has a deeper, more impactful bass, relatively without the treble artifacts of the AudioQuest, and sound is wider and much more refined. That's easily obvious with the £500-ish Adam Audio SP5s that I've got, let alone the £1,300 Hi-Fi Man Ira Stealth planar magnetics. 600 milliwatts into a 30 ohm load is about what you're getting with the Hi-Fi Mans, and the 70 ohm Adam Audios are pretty well driven with the Mojo 2 as well. Obviously, with most lower load IEMs, you're not going to have any problem whatsoever. Chord actually proclaimed that this is the first DAC to offer lossless DSP tone controls with their stated issues of distortion and noise in traditional DSP. But that's possibly academic to a situation that it can be more than easy to get by with DACs with digital tone controls when you factor our subjective preferences in the mix. But you know what? I couldn't actually care less about making lossless DSP a strength or not, so far as this review goes. And the reason, because DSP controls unto itself allows for incredible flexibility in a DAC. The step changes between the settings, the different tone elements, are more than nuanced with the Mojo 2. And it's like hating curry by its flavour, but now having that taste like your favourite Italian. God, I hope that didn't sound too cliched and pretentious as well. But what I'm getting at is that not only is the Mojo 2 now for chord lovers, but this is a DAC also for chord haters too. The tonalista smooth troop, if you like. And nobody can moan about their favourite trashy female artist, Diana Krall, Stacey Kent, who's the other one, Norah Jones. I actually quite like Norah Jones actually, and Stacey Kent. Nobody can really kind of argue with their treble croaking vocal twilling annoyance anymore with that harshness and brightness that you get with some DACs, because you can just simply tune it out. I actually found that in a hi-fi setup with my Blue Sound node via optical into the Mojo 2 an analog out to my Hager H390 using an AudioQuest Evergreen 3.5mm to 2 RCA cable, that you have to turn the chord's volume down a bit with the Bluesound on maximum volume to stop distortion to the amp. That's because Mojo 2 doesn't have selectable voltage gain like the Qutest has. You just have to match the volume between the two devices. But I think that if you really hit the spot and get the volume right, sound is gloriously detailed in your hi-fi with the Chord Mojo 2, and it makes a case of beyond its price hi-fi use. I took some of the bass off and mid bass as well in the DSP when I used it with my Hagel because it's a little bit too thick when you've got it on the neutral settings. I found that against the Qutest, the Mojo 2 isn't as dynamically rhythmic, and it's relatively more two-dimensional to the Qutest as well, without the Qutest's soundscapes and soundstage. I think they're the most obvious differences, but it's actually less than you think. And it's easily a DAC, this Mojo 2, for 3 or 4 grand hi-fi, that's dollars or pounds, maybe even more. So even with some minor quality issues with the buttons, a little clearer manual as well, Mojo 2 is a very accomplished sounding product indeed. Personally, I'm putting up with the small build quality niggles for the sake of stratospheric sound quality, and also the DSP is a massive selling point of this DAC. I'm all for promoting good hi-fi on merit and just simply promoting good hi-fi full stop. I'm not too bothered about who I'm dealing with, but I would say that Chord Electronics are definitely in business with this product, so it comes very recommended indeed. Thanks for watching.